Welcome to New Hire Safety Orientation for Alloy Group. The following presentation will give you an introduction to company guidelines, the type of work completed, safety protocols, and other important information to help you begin working safely. This video contains 8 topics that will be presented to you. These topics are of the utmost importance and are aligned with Alloy Group's goal of creating a safe work environment for all members of our employment. The following topics that will be discussed are Alloy Group's commitment to workplace safety, Alloy Group's safety and health program policies, site-specific information, hazard identification, assessment and correction, personal protective equipment, incident reporting protocols, emergency procedures, stop work authority. These 8 topics build the fundamental starting point we here at Alloy Group expect all our employees to have the basics understanding of, as we introduce you to our fast-paced work environment. Section 1. Alloy Group's commitment to safety. It is the policy of Alloy Group to provide a safe and healthy working environment for all employees so that accidents and injuries do not occur. To this end, Alloy subscribes to the following safety philosophies and principles. A working environment can be achieved where 100% of employees work safely 100% of the time. Adequate resources will be provided to plan, design, and maintain projects, working conditions, and equipment in a safe manner. All employees will be provided the knowledge, skills, and motivation necessary to perform their work safely. Management, which includes all levels through line supervision, will be responsible and accountable for creating and sustaining a work environment that encourages and supports safe decisions, safe actions, and safe working conditions. Alloy Group prioritizes the health and safety of all of our workers. This dedication from our team of professionals will ensure that no employee be put in a situation where their health and safety may be at risk. The OSHA General Duty Clause is the fundamental backbone of our safety culture here at Alloy Group, as its main purpose is to ensure, as your employer, we furnish a workplace free of recognizable hazards. More in depth, Section 5A1 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970 is commonly referred to as the General Duty Clause. It establishes that each employer shall furnish to each employee employment in a place of employment which are free from recognizable hazards that are causing or likely to cause death or serious physical harm to their employees. This means that employers are responsible for the health and safety of their employees. Employees cannot be punished or discriminated against by their employers for reporting unsafe working conditions. The General Duty Clause is meant to apply when a recognized hazard exists, for which there are not or not yet a precise standard. In other words, an unsafe condition not covered by one of OSHA's specific standards is understood to be covered by the General Duty Clause. All Alloy employees have the rights to review copies of regulations, requirements, and standards in the workplace related to safety. All Alloy employees have the right to review medical records and exposure records within the work areas, as well as receive a copy of any tests that have been done to determine if there are hazards in the workplace. Alloy employees will be able to review records of work-related injuries of current and past Alloy projects. All Alloy employees have the responsibility to follow all safety protocols such as, but not limited to, confined space entry, working at heights, electrical safety, lockout tagout, ladder safety, material handling, working with tools and equipment, working alone, extreme working temperatures, and fire safety. Alloy employees are also expected to practice safe lifting techniques, know how to identify hazards, follow company safety rules and safe operating procedures, know how to report a hazard, follow good housekeeping requirements, and follow all PPE requirements. Section 2. Alloy Safety and Health Program Policies. Alloy prohibits employees from reporting to work in an impaired state as the result of the use of drugs and alcohol. Further, Alloy does not permit the use or possession of illegal drugs on Alloy property. Off-the-job drug activity or alcohol abuse can have an adverse effect on an employee's job performance, which could jeopardize the safety of other employees and will not be tolerated. Alloy reserves the right to inspect vehicles, premises, and property, which includes offices, desks, and lockers, and personal effects such as lunch bags, purses, gym bags, backpacks, handbags, briefcase, packages, or coats, when there is reasonable cause to believe that an employee has violated this policy. Employees who engage in any of the prohibited conduct are subject to discipline up to and including termination at Alloy's discretion. Alloy Group reserves the right, under the limits of federal, state, or local laws, to examine and test for the presence of drugs or alcohol. Under the conditions of this policy, employees may be asked to submit to a medical examination and/or submit to urine, hair, saliva, or breath testing for drugs or alcohol. Alloy may perform drug or alcohol testing during certain circumstances not limited to the following: pre-employment, post-accident, random, reasonable cause, return to duty after a positive test, follow-up after a previously positive test. No drug or alcohol test may be administered without the written consent of the person being tested. However, a person's refusal to submit to a proper test will be viewed as a refusal to test and will subject the person to disciplinary action, up to and including termination. As further defined in the Alloy Group Employee Handbook, Alloy will not tolerate any unlawful harassment of employees. Types of unlawful harassment covered by this policy include harassment of an individual because of that person's race, color, sex, religion, age, pregnancy, sexual orientation, gender identity, citizenship status, national origin, veteran status, genetic information, physical or mental disability, or any other classification protected by law. Any employee who engages in any form of unlawful harassment, whether it is inadvertent or intentional, will be disciplined, up to and including termination. Alloy also forbids retaliation of any type against any employee for reporting any type of unlawful harassment or for cooperating or participating in an investigation of alleged unlawful harassment. Alloy Group permits employees to bring personal cell phones and other mobile devices into the workplace. However, the use of such devices must not interfere with job duties or impact workplace safety and health. Employees should primarily use personal devices during non-working times such as breaks and meal periods. Employees with devices that have video recording capability are restricted from using those functions on company property unless authorized in advance by management. While operating a vehicle on company time, Alloy requires an employee to use the correct hands-free equipment for that device that is in compliance with applicable state laws. Violators of this policy are subject to disciplinary action up to and including possible termination of employment. Violations of our general safety rules will be subject to disciplinary measures as outlined below. First violation will result in verbal warning. Second violation will result in written warning. Third violation will result in suspension and final written warning. Serious safety infractions could be cause for disciplinary actions to be accelerated with the recommendation of immediate termination. Termination will result after a final written warning and return from suspension. Section 3. What we do. Alloy Group and affiliates are fully licensed and insured to perform removal and disposal of asbestos-containing materials in accordance with federal, state, and local rules and regulations. As an employee, you'll receive ADHERA and NESHAP training as required and will be part of the company medical surveillance program prior to performing these activities. Training is provided, and the newly founded apprenticeship program ensures that new hires are teamed up with experienced personnel to ensure they are ready to perform the work in a safe manner. Structural demolition is performed by our most experienced divisions, and operators must be qualified through years of experience and ongoing training. Alloy's licensed teams are highly skilled to perform this work throughout the country. Training and medical surveillance is provided for individuals wanting to perform this work. Remediation is a growing industry, and Alloy Group is on the leading edge creating new procedures and techniques to return buildings to their original and safe condition. Alloy Group has led the way with robotic demolition for the past 20 years. Such use has created a safer option for both interior and structural demolition. Common tasks of an asbestos abatement worker can include but are not limited to removal of asbestos from ceilings, walls, beams, boilers, or other structures, sealing off work area using 6mm plastic sheeting and duct tape, positioning mobile decontamination units or portable showers at entrances of work areas, building connecting walkways between mobile unit or portable showers and work area using hand tools, lumber, nails, plastic sheeting, and duct tape, positioning negative air machines inside of work area, cut and scrape loose asbestos from surfaces using knife or scraper, shovel asbestos into plastic disposable bags and seal bags using duct tape, clean the work area of loose asbestos using HEPA vacuum, broom, and dustpan, dismantling of work area using hand tools. Common tasks of a demolition worker can include but are not limited to using power tools and manual labor to remove unsound structures, breaking concrete and concrete masonry unit walls, cleaning debris from work site, placing traffic signals and directing traffic away from demolition sites, operating heavy machinery and equipment if qualified to do so, unloading tools, equipment, and machinery from trucks, loading job site debris onto vehicles or into dumpsters, cleaning tools and equipment after use, performing general maintenance on heavy machinery, if qualified to do so, following all safety rules and regulation, adhering to all safety precautions and protocols. Section 4, Hazard Identification, Assessment, and Correction. What is a hazard? There are many definitions for hazard, but the most common definition when talking about workplace safety is as follows. A hazard is any source of potential damage, harm, or adverse health effect on someone or something. The CSA Z1002 standard uses the following terms: harm, which is physical injury or damage to health; hazard, which is a potential source of harm to a worker. Basically, a hazard is a potential to harm or an adverse effect. For example, to people as health effects, or to organizations as property or equipment losses, or to the environment. What is hazard identification? Hazard identification is part of the process used to evaluate if any particular situation, item, thing, etc. may have the potential to cause harm. The term often used to describe the full process is risk assessment, which includes identifying hazards and risk factors that have the potential to cause harm, hazard identification; analyze and evaluate the risk associated with the hazard, risk analysis, risk evaluation; determine appropriate ways to eliminate the hazard or control the risk with the hazard cannot be eliminated, risk control. Overall, the goal of hazard identification is to find and record possible hazards that may be present in your workplace. It may help to work with a team to include both people familiar with the work area as well as people who are not. This way you have both the experienced and the fresh eye to conduct the inspection. What is a job hazard analysis, or JHA? A JHA is the systematic procedure that breaks down each job or task into key training sequences, identifies safety elements to each job or task step, and coaches the employee on how to avoid potential safety hazards. Another common term for this procedure is called a job safety analysis, or JSA. Both JSA and JHA are considered the same thing. JHAs are required to be completed each day for each project Allied Group performs.
Before you can create safer job procedures, you need to identify hazards that exist in your workplace. An effective way to do this is the job hazard analysis. This method can work well for jobs with hazards that are hard to eliminate, especially for ones that have a history of accidents or near misses. In essence, the job hazard analysis is a commonly used process that separates a job into a series of tasks to locate hazards. Let's take a closer look. To illustrate this, consider that a forklift operator not only operates a forklift, but may also do maintenance work, change the tires, load and unload materials, or change batteries or propane tanks. These are all tasks. After you've broken the job down into tasks, you need to evaluate each one to identify actual and potential hazards. In the forklift example, we have a number of potential hazards. Take changing the tires, for example. We need to find out if the mechanism he's using to jack up the forklift is working properly or needs to be serviced. Another point, is he wearing the proper personal protective equipment like safety glasses and gloves? Remember impact hazards in the first module. Is he positioning his body in such a way that he could be pinned against the ground if the jack failed? Involving employees who are directly involved with the task in your job hazard analysis can provide you with a better understanding of how the job is performed and help you implement safer job procedures once the hazards are discovered. You may also want to incorporate workers that aren't actively involved so you can get a fresh set of eyes. The analysis can also be used to train new employees in how to safely perform their jobs.
When it comes to JHAs, supervisors are responsible for writing the JHA with input from those performing the tasks. Supervisors are also responsible for training affected staff at the time of the hire, job rotation or transfer, or changes into the job task or injury. Supervisors are also responsible for enforcing work rules. Employees are responsible for reviewing all JHAs for their job, wearing all PPE required for the task, following the recommended steps to perform a task in a safe manner. Allied Group's team of dedicated safety professionals perform safety compliance inspections of work sites on a regular basis. Worksite safety inspections focus on OSHA compliance, Allied Group company policy compliance, and certain working state regulations. Workers can be subject to disciplinary measures as a result of site safety inspections if workers are observed violating company safety protocols. For disciplinary action information, It can be found in your employee handbook. Any safety-related questions can be directed to your division safety manager, your job site supervisor, or any other member of Allied Group management team. Additional site-specific training is available as needed. Section 5. Personal protective equipment requirements. Job site mandatory clothing to be worn at all Allied Group job sites are as follows. Work pants, worn at waist level with no holes. Work boots, which are non-slip with steel toe or composite toe cap. A high visibility t-shirt with at minimum 4-inch sleeve length. Job site mandatory PPE consists of ANSI compliant safety glasses or goggles as needed. Hard hats when overhead hazards present. Gloves, cut proof or other ANSI rated protective glove. Additional PPE that may be required to be worn on Alloy projects are as follows, but not limited to Kevlar or similar material arm sleeve, face shield, fall arrest full body harness, fire rated clothing, chemically resistant outerwear, hearing protection at 85 decibels or greater, double hearing protection at 100 decibels or greater, Tyvek suit with hood and boots, disposable rubber gloves, air purifying respirator, half mask or full face, powered air purifying respirator, otherwise known as a PAPR. Respirators shall be provided when necessary to protect the health of employees from breathable hazards. Respirators shall be used in the following circumstances. When exposure levels exceed the permissible exposure limit, or PEL, during time periods necessary to install or implement feasible engineering and work practice controls, in regulated areas, or where Alloy Group has implemented all feasible engineering and work practice controls, and these are not sufficient to reduce exposures to or at below the PEL. Workplace noise levels shall always be maintained below 85 decibels as an 8-hour time-weighted average. Regular exposure to 85 decibels or more unprotected for more than 8 hours could result in damaged hearing. A variety of control strategies can be used to reduce noise levels, but when such measures are not enough, workers will be provided with proper hearing protection. Each employee on a walking or working surface with an unprotected side or edge which is 6 feet or more above a lower level shall be protected from falling by the use of guardrail systems or a personal fall arrest system. A personal fall arrest system is comprised of 3 key components: anchorage connector, body wear, and connecting device. Remember your ABCs: anchorage, body wear, connecting device.
Before we discuss fall protection systems, let's look at some component definitions. We'll begin with the ABCs of active fall protection. That's anchors, body support, and connecting devices. We'll also look at deceleration devices, so it's more like the ABCDs of fall protection. Our first term is anchors. Anchors are a secure point of attachment for equipment such as lifelines, lanyards, and deceleration devices. Anchors can be permanent or temporary, and how you select them will often depend on the type of job or task you'll be doing. Next up is body support. Body support options can be divided into 2 categories. These are body harnesses and body belts, both of which have different applications. A body harness is a piece of equipment that is comprised of straps that secure you in a way that will distribute force caused by a fall across your body and allows you to connect to other components in your fall protection system. A body belt is a strap that secures around your waist and is used to attach to other components such as a lanyard. Its use is more limited than a body harness and is only allowed in a positioning system or travel restraint systems. Next up are connecting devices. A connecting device is used to connect parts of a personal fall protection system together. Common examples include lanyards, snap hooks, D-rings, and carabiners. Let's define these terms. A lanyard is used to connect to a body belt, body harness, deceleration device, lifeline, or anchorage. It is comprised of a flexible line of rope, wire rope, or strap that usually has other connectors at each end. Snap hooks have a hook-shaped body, normally with a closed gate or something similar that can be opened to hook to an object. After it is released, the snap hook gate will automatically close to clutch the object. A carabiner, on the other hand, has a trapezoid or oval-shaped body with a closed gate, or something similar that can be opened to attach to another object. Just like the snap hook, it has to automatically close to clutch the object. Keep in mind that even though something is auto-locking, it's always good practice to double check. It's important to note that not all carabiners are appropriate for your fall protection system, since they must be auto-locking, require at least 2 separate and consecutive movements to open, and be capable of withstanding 5,000 pounds of force. This means they meet the ANSI Z359 requirements. The final component we will be defining in this video are deceleration devices. A deceleration device is a mechanism that dissipates a substantial amount of force during a fall. Common examples include ripstitch lanyards, also known as shock absorbers or shock packs, self-retracting lifelines, and rope grabs. Let's briefly cover what each of these mean. A rope grab travels along a vertical lifeline connected to anchors. When a fall occurs, the rope grab automatically engages and locks to arrest the fall. SRLs, sometimes called yo-yos, can be described as a drum-wound line that can be slowly extracted or retracted when the drum is under slight tension during normal movement by the employee. If a fall occurs, the device automatically locks and the drum arrests the fall. Shock absorbers deploy when a fall occurs. The stitching rips, which absorbs a substantial amount of force that has been created, softening the blow.
Section 6. Job Site Reporting Protocols. It is required of all Alloy Group employees to immediately notify their direct supervisor when a job site injury occurs. Work in that area that the incident occurs must stop immediately, and that work must be left unaffected until an investigation can be completed. If needed, on-site first aid can be administered. If further medical evaluation is required, the affected employee can be sent to an off-site medical facility. All employees involved are subject to interview questions by the designated investigation team and must provide a truthful, accurate account of the details of the incident. Work may resume once an investigation is completed. All investigation findings shall be shared with all parties involved, and corrective action measures will be taken to prevent further similar incidents. What is a near miss? A near miss, near hit, or close call is an unplanned event that has the potential to cause but does not actually result in human injury, environmental or equipment damage, or an interruption to normal operation. OSHA defines a near miss as an incident with no property was damaged and no personal injury was sustained, but where, given a slight shift of time or position, damage or injury easily could have occurred. Near misses also may be referred to as near accidents, accident precursors, injury-free event, and in the case of moving objects, near collisions. A near miss is often an error, with harm prevented by other considerations or circumstances. A near miss incident must be reported to your direct supervisor immediately to allow for further investigation. As a worker, you have a right to a safe working environment free of identifiable hazards. That means that you can report unsafe working conditions to proper authorities and bring it to your supervisor's attention. If you believe a situation is unsafe, you should request that you perform other duties until that situation is corrected. Alloy Group will comply in all of its workers' requests to correct unsafe work tasks or sites. Worker safety is a shared responsibility, and Alloy Group aims to always provide a safe working environment for all of its employees. If further action is required, contact your region safety manager and the issue will be addressed immediately. Employees reporting unsafe conditions will not be subject to disciplinary measures, and his or her identity will be protected from parties involved as the situation is being corrected. A copy of Alloy Group's anonymous reporting hotline will be available on all job sites. Section 7. Emergency Procedure. Emergencies and disasters can strike anywhere at any time, bringing workplace injuries and illnesses with them. Employers and workers may be required to deal with an emergency when it is least expected, and proper planning before an emergency is necessary to respond effectively. What is a workplace emergency? A workplace emergency is a situation that threatens workers, customers, or the public, disrupts or shuts down operations, or causes physical or environmental damage. Emergencies may be natural or man-made and may include hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, floods, wildfires, winter weather, chemical spills or release, disease outbreak, release of biological agents, explosions involving nuclear or radiological sources, and many other hazards. Many types of emergencies can be anticipated in the planning process, which can help employers and workers plan for unpredictable situations. In the event of an emergency, the following guidelines are to be followed. Verbally alert other employees in the general area about the type of emergency and location. Emergency services such as police, fire, or ambulance shall be notified at the first report of the emergency. Emergency services can be contacted by dialing the emergency telephone number. If an employee's safety is in jeopardy, the employee may need to go to the telephone away from the emergency to call the emergency services. Provide the following information to the emergency dispatcher: type of emergency, location of the emergency, your name, conditions that exist, such as heavy smoke or flames, a callback number, action taken by the employees. Hang up only when the dispatcher hangs up or tells you to hang up, or if you feel you're in an area where danger exists. Upon control of the worksite, promptly notify Alloy Safety and Operations Management. Spills of a minor nature will be immediately cleaned up and disposed of properly. In case of a major spill, employees will respond with a spill containment apparatus and immediately notify the site consultant or owner. Protection of life, property, and the environment is of the primary concern. Workers will be instructed to cease work operations and concentrate work efforts to clean up operations during a chemical spill. Site supervisor will notify consultant and owner of such spill, demarcate affected area, and proceed with cleanup as instructed by on-site consultant, and determine source of cause or chemical spill and document. Employees will be alerted to the nearest telephone locations where fire, police, ambulance, and nearest hospital emergency telephone numbers are located. Section 8. Stop Work Authority. What is Stop Work Authority? Stop Work Authority provides employees with the responsibility and obligation to stop work when a perceived unsafe condition or behavior may result in an unwanted event. Performing a Stop Work Authority to correct safety hazards and halt potential unsafe actions before they happen is not only responsible, but is also effective. Do it safely or not at all. Why Stop Work Authority? Everyone has the right to work safely. Stop work allows us to catch an unsafe act before it happens. Stop work helps employees look out for each other's safety, and it might help see something that you might have missed. When to use Stop Work Authority? When changes in worksite conditions occur, changes at the scope of work or work plan, in emergency situations, when equipment is used improperly, when inadequate personal protective equipment is on site, when lack of knowledge, understanding of the information of the task being performed, during a near-miss incident, and any other unsafe conditions. The 6 steps to Stop Work Authority are stop, notify, investigate, correct, resume, and follow up. Thank you for completing new hire orientation training with Alloy Group. For additional information, questions, comments, or concerns, contact your regional safety manager. Their contact information can be seen here on this slide. Thank you and stay safe.